Thank you, Mark. It's really good to be here. I want to begin with a nigun, with a wordless melody. And right off the bat, I want to say it's a more elaborate one. It has three parts. So if you find yourself going to the mind of like, I don't know this, or this is too hard, I want you to see if you can catch even one note that you can join me. And we'll have a chance to layer on some words and understand more of the meaning. But let's start just with the direct experience of music together. So I saw some of you swaying and waving and rocking to that melody. I'm going to invite us to actually wave hello to each other. It doesn't get any weirder or any less weird that we're still gathering this way, but to raise our hands and for me raises our hearts and brings me joy. I love that kind of contagious wave where one person kind of does it and thinks that they're waving to them, and then it just spreads like a yawn through the room. So it's really good. Even yawns are welcome. Let's get soothed and safe and social in this space. So why that melody? Why that melody, which is known as Bati Lagani? It was written by our teacher, Reb Zalman of blessed memory. I have this, let's see if we can get the glare out of the way. Today, the 5th of Tammuz, is also Reb Zalman's yahrzeit. And I know we are marking other passings, some of us coming from funerals this morning, remembering others at this time, and this time to bring all of those beloved teachers and family and friends. They're welcome in this space. The transcription on the sheet music, as I received this, of that particular melody, says in reverent memory of his Rebbe, Yosef Yitzhak Schneerson, the 6th of the Chabad Lubavitch Rebbes. And like I said, it's a complicated text, a complicated melody, and it also is a complicated text. So I wanted to take a look at these exceptional verses, share some soaking in the words of their Torah, to sing it again, and then to share some silence together. So it's actually a series of 3 verses, 3 excerpts of 3 verses, all from the Song of Songs. So the first verse, Domeh dodi letzvi o leofer ha'ayalim, my beloved is like a gazelle or a young stag. There he stands behind our wall, gazing through the window, peering through the lattice. Hine ze omed achar kotlenu. Here, so this is in the purple highlight I'm sorry I didn't highlight the English. Hine ze omed achar kotlenu. Here, behold, wow. I gave another teaching I'm just remembering now for IJS. I'm just, this word hine, behold, sometimes translated in that Old English, lo, L-O. Hine ze. Here is the lover standing just outside the wall, peering through the window. Mashgiach mina chalon. You may know the word mashgiach from the kosher supervisor who is the mashgiach looking over the kitchen, supervising the kitchen. Shagach, looking. Mina chalonot, looking through the windows. Meitzitz mina charakim, peering. And this word of tzitz is also like sparkling, like the sparkle, the shine in your eyes. So right now, with the questions and the inquiry that Mark so beautifully brought us in, is there something just right beyond the wall? So often we're armored or buttressed against the forces of life. Is there something kind of peering through, flirting from the other side, awakening love? I happen to live somewhere where I do see gazelles or young stags. Probably they're more ayalot, deer, um, but they're always breathtaking. They're always so vital and graceful. Can you soften to just this, hineze, right now, a sense of something lovingly looking or seeking your attention? Or perhaps you're on the other side of the wall. There's a clear object of your desire and love whose attention you seek. What does it feel like to peer through the lattice, through the network, through the meshwork, with the desire to share your love? Bati legani achoti kala. I have come to my garden, my own, my bride. Reb Zalman now takes us a jump to another chapter of Song of Songs, the opening verse of chapter 5. Ariti mori im besami. I have plucked my myrrh and spice. Now, myrrh is a essential oil or a fragrance or an incense that's harvested by scoring the trunk of a bark of the myrrh tree and gathering the sap as it weeps from the trunk. In Tammuz, this month is a time of tears in the tradition, and they're bittersweet. So perhaps today has not been so fragrant, so lush or delightful as a garden, but what would it be to come into your own garden? What is a place of verdant support for your heart? It may be in your own backyard. It may be a place you get to visit only once in a while. Maybe it's somewhere you've never been, but have a deep dream connection to. What would it be to bati lagani, to come into your own garden and there find the beloved, to be intoxicated with the sense and the sense of love? And yeshena velibi air. I was asleep, but my heart was wakeful. know several other songs for this part. These words are not included in this chant, but I always read this as Halavai she'ani yeshena. If only my sense of I were to fall asleep, then I would realize that my heart is always awake. The the we of the heart. Kol dodi dofek pitchili. The voice of the beloved knocks, wakening me, open to me, my own, my darling, my friend. The word for pulse, as we can feel in our chests or at our wrist, is knocking, pulse knocking. The beloved is quickening our hearts as we sing this together. These three parts, there's a little bit of repetition. Part one is הנה זה עומד אחר כותלנו, אחר כותלנו. משגיח מן החלונות, מציץ מן החרקים. Let's try that again. הנה זה עומד אחר כותלנו, אחר כותלנו. משגיח מן החלונות, מציץ מן החרקים. באתי לגני, אחותי חלה, ראיתי מורים בשמי. באתי לגני, אחותי חלה, ראיתי מורים בשמי. Good. Appreciation for even trying. Let's try doing parts A and B again. הנה זה עומד אחר כותלנו, אחר כותלנו. Behind the walls. משגיח מן החלונות, מציץ מן החרקים. Come, beloved. באתי לגני, אחותי חלה, ראיתי מורים בשמי. באתי לגני, אחותי חלה, ראיתי מורים בשמי. קול דופק פתחי לי, קול דודי דופק פתחי לי, פתחי לי אחותי רעייתי, פתחי לי, פתחי לי. באתי לגני, אחותי חלה, ראיתי מורים בשמי. באתי לגני, אחותי חלה, ראיתי מורים בשמי. Let's sit together in our garden, allowing ourselves to be loved. באתי לכאני, אחותי חלה, ראיתי מורי עם בשמי. באתי לכאני, אחותי חלה, ראיתי מורי עם בשמי.
Thank you so much, my friend. Beautiful. We bring some of that love into our ritual for sealing our practice together. An opportunity for those in mourning, observing yard sites, for carrying grief, to express that, hold that in this community through Mourner's Kaddish. We invite you to share any name or names, people you're holding in your heart today, in the chat box if you'd like, either now or after we've finished reciting the Kaddish. And I invite you to rise in body or in spirit to join me. Yitkadal, Yikadash, Shemei Rabbah,
Amen.
Yamad, Divrach, Hirutei, V'yamlich Malchutei, V'chayechon, Uv'yemechon, Uv'chayei, D'chal Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala, Uv'zman Karib, V'imru,
Amen.
Yehi Shmei,
Rabba, Barak,
Shalom,
Shalom, Maya.
Amaya. Yitbarach, Yishtabach, Yitpa'ar, V'yitramam, V'yitnaseh. Yitadar, Yitaled, Yitalal, Shmei Kucha, B'rucho. Ha'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, ushbachata v'nechamata, ta'amiran ba'alma, v'imru, amen.
Amen.
Yehi shlama rabba min shamayim, v'chayim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen.
Amen.
Oseh shalom b'romav, huya shalom aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael, v'yal kol yoshvei tevel.
Amen.
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 Friends, thanks so much for joining us. So as always today, I do want to put in the chat box a link to Rabbi Shir Yaakov's website, actually, and Shul. Here's it's shiryaakov.com for those before some folks leave us. And the congregation, the community that he leads is Kol Chai, which is in New Paltz, New York. But of course, these days there are no boundaries for synagogues, so you can join some of the wonderful programs and activities there. As always, you're invited to stay on for some conversation with our teacher for today about the teaching and about the practice. And actually today I'd love to extend our practice a little bit, think about how we bring that into our lives and well, at least into our day, into our lives going forward. So you're welcome to stay on. If you're not able to, we hope you'll join us tomorrow. We'll be led practice tomorrow by Beth Sandweiss, same time as always. Thanks to Martin Goritz for sponsoring our practice today in loving memory of his parents, Zichronam Livracha. And thanks to Adi Stein, as always, for holding our tech space with skill and grace. If you're leaving us, we hope to see you tomorrow or later this week at the usual time. And for those who are staying on, if you have a question, comment, reflection on the practice today, please put it in the chat box and preface it with question. So my friend, thanks for mentioning that today is Reb Zalman's yard site. For those who are not familiar, Reb Zalman Schachter Shalomi really just had an outsized influence on worldwide Judaism and through the Jewish Renewal Movement. And I guess what I'm interested in talking about today, Shir Yaakov, is one of the things that for me is so attractive about Jewish mysticism as represented by Reb Zalman is the idea of Judaism as a path of love, which for many people, of course, it's not something they necessarily picked up, along the way earlier in life. The idea of sitting in a garden of love and of peeking through the window and having the beloved like searching through and looking for you. which is a recurrent theme in a lot of Jewish mystical texts, of course, and in Shir, Shirim, Song of Songs, biblically, really powerful, the idea of these lovers in search of each other. I wanted to stay with that. And also I want to make sure that we conclude with another round of the Nigunin song. I want to leave space for that. But maybe you can say a little bit about that, about because I know it's, of course, core to your rabbinate and the work that you do, and both musically and rabbinically. And the question form I would put that in is, what do you say to people who say, like, number one, never heard of that? A loving God, who's in search of me, who just wants to shower me with love. That's question number one. Question number two is, I have for people, including myself, is once you come to believe that, what makes it so hard to receive that love? To take it in. Why do we push it away? Why do we run from it? Why do we avoid it? Two big questions there for you, my friend.
Yeah, softball.
Well, let's just start with it first. Like the idea of, maybe you could speak a little bit personally about this, if you would, about the God of love who is looking through the window.
Yeah, there's a Yiddish phrase that I was almost allergic to, and I don't remember it in the original, but it translates to, it's hard to be a Jew. And I did not want to take that on as like the bag I was carrying or the cart I was pulling. Actually, when Reb Zalman agreed I was like a good candidate for his ordination, for his smicha, he said, you have the strength to pull the cart, but I don't want to schlep this baggage of it's hard, it's burdensome, it's painful, and of course, it's all of those things. And it's only worthwhile if there's also some precious cargo. And that is the love and the beauty that is, I was leaning into my answer for the second part, which is often just overwhelmed and covered over with tremendous loss, the sense of disappearance, with personal and historical and transpersonal trauma, and then on the individual level with shame and fear. So unfortunately, I don't really know any other way to find the God who wants to love us other than through direct experience. And as the psalmist says, taste and see God is good. That could be written 1,000 times. You could plaster it on your forehead or tattoo it on your arm. And if you haven't seen or tasted that, it's just dogma. It's just words.
Right.
And I've learned that by being by being near people like Reb Zalman and other great teachers and other teachers of place, beautiful places that have allowed me to release and let go of that fear and that shame and relax into the possibility that, yeah, maybe it's okay. And maybe we are loved, and maybe the universe is conspiring to shower us with blessings. Rob Bresney wrote a book called Pronoia, which is the antidote to paranoia. Pronoia.
Pronoia? What is it? Which means?
The universe is conspiring to shower us with blessings as
okay.
as the opposite of paranoia. Like the world is out to get me. The walls are caving in.
Isn't it the same thing?
Yes.
The world's out to get me. Out to get me with love.
Yeah. Right.
Save me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. You did names so many of the obstacles or the sources of resistance, right? That kick in. And I'd say also, just to tack on to that beautiful answer, that simply being able to notice and name the resistance without judging ourselves for it, right? The shame and the fear, whatever it is in any of us that feels unworthy of that love, whatever the source of that may be, like you said, you named all the different sources of trauma, right? Yeah. That make that, to be able to notice that, and even to love that, to love that too.
And even if love doesn't come first, to meet ourselves in that, like the compassion is so vast that we have to the ways we meet ourselves with where we are is the way that I experience. And some people, for the theistic or the deistic language doesn't work, but that awareness or that consciousness that wants to meet us where we are is so present and clear and open that it is infinitely patient with us until we're ready to be honest with how we're experiencing our experience of self or
Yeah.
non-self or other or all of that. I hope that came across with like when I speak about it, it feels, and also another piece of that is the direct experience through music. There's something that, I mean, physiologically, it helps brings the hemispheres of the brain together, but it also starts to not necessarily blur the boundaries, but to create a medium in which what's on one side of the wall and on the other is really not two.
Right. Lori's got a really good question here. The idea of hineze powerfully brings me fully present to observing and absorbing what's before me. Would you please speak to the interaction and differences between hineze and hineni? That's interesting. That's an interesting question.
I didn't even notice until until I saw the screen shining back at me that my previous IJS or one of my previous IJS offerings was two verses. One that started with "Hinema tovu manayim," how good it is when we dwell together, and "Ze hayom asa havaya," this is the day, and this verse brings those two beautiful. I mean, we could spend a day on hine, or on a day on ze. I mean, off the cuff, I would just play with the apparent difference between place and time, right? Like here, now, here in the sense of now, like what is happening now, and that this in the world of form or of objects, and bringing when those two are not two, right? When we're just fully here, hineni, here I am. I mean, that was a little bit playful, but I think there's something there. I also like the way we often encounter the word zeh as hazeh, like manish tanah halayla hazeh or shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higyanu lazman hazeh. I know I just threw a lot of Hebrew out there, but in the four questions at the Passover Seder or in the blessing that we say when we do something new or arrive at an auspicious moment, hazeh is a palindrome, hey, Zion, hey. Hine is also a palindrome, hey, nun, hey. So there's these senses of connection, of presence, of dvekut, of belonging, of feeling okay and fundamentally all right with our place in the universe, somehow reaches like a palindrome from where we're coming from to where we're going, and we find our consonant right in the middle of that vowel space, or something like that.
Well, I was, I'm in Manhattan, looking across my air shaft at a brick wall, but you had me sitting in the garden while we were sitting there, and the fragrance of the garden, in my mind's eye, in my heart mind, I could actually have a sense of the pleasantness of sitting in my gan, or sitting in this collective gan. So I want to invite us. One of the dangers of this, post-game show here is getting into, getting analytical about it. And I want to, selfishly and otherwise, would like to extend it. So maybe one more round of the nigun and the words of Shir Hashirim. These are some from Song of Songs, which I think, by the way, also Kol Dodi Dofek, I think Nancy Flam used as her text yesterday on the set. I wasn't able to hear the whole set, but I imagine a bunch of you who are here are catching overlap between Nancy's teaching yesterday and Shir Yaakov's today. Just going to also put, so as not to interrupt, want to put the links to the Kol Chai website in the chat box.
Yeah,
and I think people scroll up if you didn't.
I'll make a post on the Kol Chai website that has all of these links have been in the chat, but if you're not in the chat and you're on YouTube or seeing this later, to the Sefaria source sheet that has this. Some people have requested the sheet music. And it also, I mean, I sing this to it goes beautifully to Lachadodi. Shamur v'zachor b'dibor echad, Hishmianu el hamyuchad, Yah echad, Shmo echad, Shemo tiferet v'nitila, Lechadodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela, Lechadodi likrat kala, etc. I had to go to the beginning to get to the verse, but I'll share the words again, and I want to say one more thing about scent and memory, because the interpersonal neurobiology of this is so powerful. And the Kabbalah, the Kabbalists point out that the sense of scent is never mentioned in the fall from in the exile from the garden. Like they see the fruit, they hear the snake, they taste it, they touch the tree, but scent is never there. So in a way, the way our sense memory and even the rhyencephalon, it goes straight to the brain. The cranial nerve between the nose, it's like a direct connection. So even breathing in the memory of a favorite tree, a favorite flower, a gorgeous sunset, or a place of safety actually activates the same neural pathways and the physiological circuitry of returning home in that sense. Arlene, take out your violin and play with us right now. הנה זה עומד אחר כותלנו, אחר כותלנו, משגיח מן החלונות, מציץ מן החרקים, באתי לגני אחותי חלה, ראיתי מורי עם בשמי, באתי לגני אחותי חלה, ראיתי מורי עם בשמי, כל דודי פתחי לי, כל דודי דופק פתחי לי, פתחי לי אחותי רעייתי, פתחי לי, פתחי לי, באתי לגני אחותי חלה, ראיתי מורי עם בשמי, באתי לגני אחותי חלה, ראיתי מורי עם בשמי.
Thank you so much to Rabbi Shir Yaakov Feit. Thanks for sharing your gift with us, Shir Yaakov, and for sharing the love, giving us all an opportunity to sit in a beautiful Gan today, Gan of love. Hope to see you all tomorrow, friends, to practice with Beth Sandweiss. And thanks again to Adi as well, to Martin Gewurtz for sponsoring our practice, and most of all to all of you for being here to make this possible. Many blessings.